kid because this kid has never been under his covering and he has never been in that child's life. I largely believe that you teach a child, and this is the thing that the Bible says, is you teach a child how they're supposed to be when they're young, and they never depart from it. They never depart from it. So my point is that at some point, once you become an adult, if I raised you and I put into you and I was there for you and I actually provided for you and I raised you according to my standards, and we were both there for you as a family unit. And then when you get an adult, or when you become an adult, you decide to go away from what it is that I raised you to be, then I have to hold you accountable for that. And at that point, I got to give you over to God, or I got to let you be what it is so I can teach you a lesson. But that is under the assumption that you were raised in my household and my covering.
Okay. Can I ask
But if you decide that you want to go out, because when you become an adult, you then can do what you want to do. I have no control over you. If you want to leave the house and all of that, but when you're a child, I'm responsible for you. The context is this, though. Even with that, I will never, under any circumstance, and this is the thing that I'm saying about Umar Johnson, is what he should handle behind the scenes. I will never, under any circumstance, put that out there for y'all to see. I'm not going to make content out of my fucking daughter.
All right, welcome back once again to Conversations with KJ. I do appreciate you for being here. If you are not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. I do know that when I check the stats, there's a lot of people that watch that are not really subscribed, a bunch of people. And so if you enjoy the content here, just go ahead and hit the subscribe and hit the notification button. And don't forget to share your opinion with me. I like to pick people's brain. I like to learn from other people as well. So put your thoughts in the comment section so I can learn something from you, right? But that being said, let's go ahead and check this video out. I think it's going to be an interesting one. So we're also going to talk about Anton Daniels and parenting. I think it's one of the things that we really need to look at as human beings, especially as Black people, right? I think something is off somewhere, and it's about time that we actually begin to address this and talk about it with parenting and all that. So definitely going to be another good conversation to have, for sure. But that being said, let's just go ahead and take a look at this video here of this lady.
Hey, good morning, TikTok. Hey,
I wonder how people say good morning, TikTok. Yeah, I recently just got on that app, and I mean, it's been a good experience right now. If you don't know, check out my TikTok here, where I do sing some of the old high life songs that people love. But yeah, I don't know how people say good morning to TikTok.
And all that I've desired in the last 7 years is just somebody to love, somebody that wants to be loved, somebody that is looking for their ride or die. And I keep running into people that, men that are portraying to be something that they're not, with hopes to getting, in between the love zone. And it's like, I at 60 years old, or even in my 50s, I don't have time to be doing a ton of soul ties. I just don't. Numbers mean everything to me, especially knowing how many people that I've been with. So
Well, let me pause that there for a minute. Well, first of all, she looks good for a 60-year-old. She looks great for a 60-year-old. Nothing to say there that, she looks awesome. But one thing that she just said is that, I keep running into the same type of men, right? I think that is where I begin to question a little bit that sometimes it's not necessarily about age. I think with time, you have to add wisdom to the experience, and then to also learn new things and learn new ways sometimes. And I think that is where maybe something is broken somewhere, that maybe sometimes you just need to stick to the conservative way of doing things. You don't need to learn some of the new things, because some of the new things, most of them are trash, right? And when she says that I keep meeting the exact same people, but I can't stop but to think that why are you meeting the exact same people? That means you are doing the exact same thing over and over again. So there is something that you are doing that is attracting these type of people, right? It's kind of like when we say, if every friend that you have is a bad friend, then maybe there is something wrong with you and not your friends. because you can keep meeting the exact same people on repeat over and over again. So that means you are doing the exact same thing. You are hanging out at the same place. You are posting the same kind of stuff on social media. You are doing something that is attracting these people. And so if those are not the people that you really are interested in, then maybe you need to start learning and start changing your ways a little bit to attract, the type of people that you want, because there are great men out there, right? It's kind of like the same thing when people say men and shit, or women and shit per se. It's like, okay, if you keep doing the exact same thing, you will keep getting the exact same results. So if you keep saying that men and shit, then maybe somewhere, somehow, you keep doing something that is attracting these men, or you keep doing something that is attracting these type of women. You can't keep attracting the exact same people over and over again unless you are doing something incorrect. So that is where I don't
Married
agree
for
with that on that
19
part.
years, or at least with the idiot for 19 years. But anyway,
You can't
I don't
see,
wanna get
there is
beside
another
the point.
thing. She says I was married for 19 years and then says I'm with this idiot for 19 years. Just imagine if you had kids along the line and your kids can hear you on social media calling their dad an idiot. That doesn't speak well of you, especially for somebody that you've been with for 19 years, right? If the person was an idiot, I think you should have seen that in the first year or two. People really show who they are along the line. You just blurred it because you were so much interested in something that blurred the lines for you, so you couldn't see that this person is an asshole, right? So, especially on social media, I personally don't see the reason why anybody that you've had some sort of intimate sexual relationship with, that you will talk about them on social media like this, insult them or things of that nature. What happened between you is between you two, right? If he didn't treat you right for some reason, sure, people change, stuff happen, but that is not the place to talk about your exes and call them names and call them out of their names and all that. I don't think it's worth it. Especially at her age, I would think for 19 years, you probably, had a kid or two. How do you feel if your kid sees this, right? So I'm not with that part at all.
I'm heartbroken because I feel like the way of the world today is like people don't really care. They're out here just lying, manipulating, just doing anything, shooting their shot. I'm so tired of hearing that expression, shooting their shot.
That's
Anyway,
always been the
I need
case.
for men to understand
Men have
that,
always done that. Men have
to
always
sit
shot
there
their
and
shots.
lie and say that you're something
People
or
have always
somebody that you're
been
not.
manipulative and
You're setting
controlling. I
these
think
women
social
up for
media is just
failure.
bringing lights
And
to
if
it
you know God,
for us to
like,
kind of see
you
these
don't just
things
get to hurt
a
somebody,
lot more.
say I'm sorry, and then repent. You will be held accountable. It's
Feels
just
like
not
she's
right.
about to cry. I don't know why.
You're sending women out into the community, back to work, back home. These are women that, if you can imagine you're affecting somebody's grandmother, somebody's sister, mom, daughter. These are women that literally, there's a lot of us out here looking for love and that want to be
I
loved.
believe you.
But then there's a lot of women out here hustling to make that money. God bless them. Let them do as they do. But when people tell you, or a woman says they've been saving themselves for somebody special, don't invade in their peace. Because once you disturb someone's peace, then they got to start back over with the healing process.
I don't
And it
think
just breaks my heart.
that works. I don't think that works, only because you can't tell a thief, that, hey, you stealing from people, they worked extra hard to get this, so maybe you should stop. No, they won't. No, they won't. I think people will still do what they do. That is why it boils down to you protecting yourself. It boils down to you, staying strapped in your home or keeping your house secured and things like that, right? Because you can't tell the other person what to do. And then you're saying men should do better. Yes, I think it's good to throw that advice there. What are the chances that people are going to take it? It's the same way that I try to give advice to the younger ones, to the younger generation and all. What are the chances that they're going to take it? I don't know, right? I'm just throwing out there. So you throwing out there is a good thing that, hey, men should do that. But more than likely, they will do what they do. And in situations where you are expecting something back, you are expecting to meet somebody, maybe you shouldn't put yourself in instances where you meet these type of people, because they won't change just because you said so, right? But when it comes to, something like what I do, which is giving advice to young men and giving advice to young women, I'm not really expecting anything back from them. It's not like I'm expecting them to come back to me and give me something in return or anything like that. I'm just throwing that advice out there. So whoever takes it, takes it. But for her, she's expecting men to get better so she can find a potential life partner. Well, that won't really work because a thief is always going to stay a thief, right? And the men that are doing what they're doing, they don't care. You can just tell them how bad and how heartbroken you will be if they leave you. If their intention from the gate wasn't to keep you, they won't keep you. It won't really matter.
This is the world we live in. Like, social media has taken over. Like, people don't think for themselves anymore. They see something nice and they want to go get it, and they'll lie and say whatever it is that they can say to try to get this accomplished.
That has
It's not
always
right.
been men.
It hurts me. Like,
That has always
bothers
been
me
men.
that I've been, alone for.
I told you, I
years,
told you I could tell
like,
she's about to cry or
waiting
something.
on
I don't know
someone to
why.
realize
Something
that,
is bothering
I'm
her.
a gold mine, but instead they see the physical. I understand that I put myself out there in bikinis, this, that, and the other. I'm not looking for
No,
anybody on
see, this is the part that also sometimes I disagree with when it comes to this. Like, you are entitled to do what you want to do. Like, that's completely fine. You're entitled to put whatever picture you want out there. That's you. You can do whatever you want. Nobody is going to polish you on that. But the thing when it comes to men is that most men, when you post these type of pictures, they don't want to take you serious. So that kind of makes me think maybe that is why she's meeting people that are not taking her seriously, right? Because when you post those type of pictures out there, yes, you are entitled to do whatever you are entitled to do. They will not police that for you. You can do whatever you want. But when it comes to men, if you post those type of pictures, the chances that they're going to take you very seriously is going to reduce. Because now you attract the type of people that are only coming because this is it. They want some of what you're posting out there, right? They don't really have any other intention beyond that because they see you posting all the time. And more than likely with, majority of men, they'll probably not take you serious because you put yourself out there like that. And that, I believe, in my opinion, is because when a man wants to keep a serious relationship, they more than likely will not want the queen to post that pictures out there. So if you're already out there doing that, they cannot police you. You are entitled to do whatever you want. They're not your daddy to tell you what to do. But then they will hold back on actually taking you serious because of that. So I think that could also be, one of the reasons why she keeps meeting the type of people she says she's meeting, which is not really working out for her.
But even if I were, there's still a line of respect. I don't even care if the woman is shaking her ass, in which I don't do. I don't have anything negative.
I don't think you have to shake your butt, but I think if you put bikini pictures, half naked pictures, or you show a lot of skin on social media, most men might not take you serious.
Maybe she woke up feeling like, hey, I'm sexy this morning. I want to present that. And
you're right. You're entitled to do all that. Like I was saying, you are entitled to do whatever. You woke up, you feel like this, you feel like sharing this type of picture. You are entitled to do that. Nobody will police you. Nobody should have the right to tell you not to. It is you. It is your body, and you do what you want with it. It's just that if you do that and you are looking for a potential life partner, you will have the problem that you say you are having, because the men that see you or go to your social media and see these things will not take you serious, because most men, I don't speak for all men, so I don't know, but most men will not want their queen to do that. So yes, you are entitled to do that. However you feel, you can put it out there. If you are not causing harm to nobody or causing harm to a society, then who cares, right? But yeah, you are entitled to do whatever. Just in the same manner that men will also say, I'm entitled to decide based on, what I've seen, that I really don't want to take this type of people serious. And I think that is why she's struggling out there with, relationships.
Shot, you probably won't get a shot, but be respectful. That's what I love about TikTok. Now on TikTok, I get the utmost respect, and I value y'all. I'm so choked up. But on Facebook, I
Yeah,
get
it feels like
disrespected.
she's
I get
about to
talked down
cry.
to. I get put down. I have people that stalk me. I have people that say negative things. I have people that simply like will follow me, study me, and then try to
And
go
then
in for the
use it
kill.
against you.
It's just all disheartening. Like, are we
Let's just
living
go
in
to the
this
Anton
world
Daniels
today?
one. But before we go to that, with what she just said here, that people are mean and disrespectful and all that. Like I said earlier, people that are mean will be mean. It's hard to kind of penetrate and tell people not to be mean. And I think she's probably new to the social media space, like I am. But I think one thing that I understood coming to the social media space is you will find people that actually love you for what you do, and you will find people that will actually say some of the worst stuff. Right? I've seen, like after I got on TikTok. I mean, I was on there, but I didn't really take it serious. It was just, one of those apps that I have on my phone. And then recently I was like, okay, let me bring this content creation to TikTok, right? And, I did one time that I was just singing and, people seemed to love it. And it made me realize that, okay, so when people actually fuck with you on social media, there are a lot of people that will fuck with you, and there are people that will say negative comments about you. There are people that will throw comments in there like, oh, he's doing this, or like you can ignore the negative comments. That's one thing that I learned, that hey, I will take the positive and the negative. It just comes with the social media space. I think her generation in her 60s probably used to people being mean in real life, but maybe didn't know that on social media, it's like another world in itself. And people on social media can even be worse, right, than in person. So let's take a look at the father issue with Anton Daniels, the parenting issue with Anton Daniels, and what he was talking about. And if you don't know Anton, you're probably an African that is not very active on YouTube space, because I think at this point people that are very active on YouTube know Anton Daniels. So I mean, I agree with Anton most of the time. He says some of the great things, especially when it comes to biblical things, that he will bring that into relationship and make people understand how that works. So most of the time I agree with him on that effort. With this particular one, let's take a look and see what they were arguing about. I've seen snippets of it here and then, people reacting to it, and I was like, yeah, let me take a look at this and talk about this for a minute, because I think parenting is one of the issues that I think we as Black people need to come back to and maybe change it a little bit, right? If you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the exact same results. So if our community is not really doing better with the way we are parenting, then maybe we need to switch it up a little bit. That's one thing that I do believe. And I think sometimes too, we just have to be parents and learn from other cultures as well. So, hey, who cares?
Kid, because this kid has never been under his covering, and he has never been in that child's life. I largely believe
I think they are
that you
talking
teach a
about
child, and this is the
Dr.
thing that the
Umar.
Bible says, is you teach a child how they're supposed to be when they're young, and they never depart from it. They never depart from it. So my point is that at some point, once you become an adult, if I raised you and I put into you and I was there for you and I actually provided for you and I raised you according to my standards, and we were both there for you as a family unit, and then when you get an adult, or when you become an adult, you decide to go away from what it is that I raised you to be, then I have to hold you accountable for that. And at that point, I got to give you over to God, or I got to let you be what it is so I can teach you a lesson. But that is under the assumption that you were raised in my household and my covering.
Okay, can I ask
But if you decide that you want to go out, because when you become an adult, you then can do what you want to do. I have no control over you. If you want to leave the house and all of that, but when you're a child, I'm responsible for you. The context is this, though. Even with that, I will never, under any circumstance, and this is the thing that I'm saying about Umar Johnson, is what he should handle behind the scenes. I will never, under any circumstance, put that out there for y'all to see. I'm not going to make content out of my fucking daughter.
So far, I do agree with him. So far, I think when a child is under your covering, they have to do what you request of them. They are under your covering. It's not just financially, it's just under your covering, protection, spiritually, everything. Like, these kids are under your shadow. In that space, you are responsible for them. And so they need to do what you require of them to do. And I understand the part that he also says that, there is no circumstance where I'll bring my daughter to the social media space to talk about my daughter, which is pretty much what I just said about the lady that I just, we just watched, which is, don't bring anybody that you've had some sort of a relationship with, either being your ex or your kids or whatever. Don't bring them on social media space. That is not the space for it. It does not belong there. And I think I've seen the Dr. Umar thing where he's responding to the daughter on social media, calling her a struggling content creator and things like that. Like, why would you say that about your own daughter, right? And I think it's also because he and the child did not really have a bond, and the child is already grown, so the bond is not really there. So even though he says that's my daughter, like there's no real love there, not to talk of even liking them, right? Like, because liking is a whole different level, and I prefer like to love in most instances. But when it comes to a blood relation like this, I think the love should overshadow the like. You don't have to like them, but you have to love them. And I think Dr. Umar doesn't really love the kid like that, in my opinion. I think it's just because there was no bond since that the child was born, so there isn't no connection there.
And if she decides to go her own way and do her own thing, if she decides to fuck up, at some point, we may repair that relationship, but I'll never be able to get back destroying her reputation online by talking shit about her and making
about your
content
daughter,
about
your
her
wife,
as
your
a content
ex,
creator.
none of that.
That shit is fucked up, and that's why I keep saying
don't put stuff like that on social
I won't even allow
media.
her on my platform. He should handle this shit offline. He should not be going online talking about shit.
I think that is what you should have done right from the gate, which is as soon as the daughter came out and said something, if you have her contacts or any way to get hold of her, reach out to her, talk to her, resolve this off social media space. This is not the space for it. And I get it. The daughter is hurt. And so she came out to say some things that kind of stems your reputation a little bit, kind of stems on your reputation, but it doesn't matter. Kids, kids do what kids do, right? In a Ghanaian culture, we say something, say, oh, badjun so good, na so ya pepa yin chanchine. What that pretty much means is your kids will do things that will hurt you. They will do things that will be bad for you. But that does not mean you just remove them completely, or you remove, that piece of you completely out of your life. It just means you clean it up and you try to fix it. And I think that is, I think that is what Umar was supposed to have done, right? Even though the daughter said hurtful things or tried to stamp on your reputation as a deadbeat father, he should have just went offline, called her backstage and, resolved that issue and not let the public, know into what happened and what did not and all that stuff.
Not be going online and saying all of this dumb shit about her, because this shit is going to live forever. I will never personally.
Social media is going to be there forever, which is another thing. Like if you put anything on there, it's going to be there for a long time because people are already saving it and all.
I'm not putting that out there for people on content. That's dumb as fuck.
Sure. Okay. I just had a quick question. So when you said that when they're in your house, they have to be raised a certain way, but when they become an adult, which they are still your child, this is an adult child, if they decide, hey, you know what, who you wanted me to be when I was younger in your house is now who I really am, and this is what I want to do in my life as your adult child. You're saying you
lose your inheritance.
It's okay to say fuck them because they're not living the life based on what you want them to
do. The minute that you go against what I decide for you,
that's healthy.
You on your own, fuck you. But I'm not.
I think Anton, I get the point that Anton is trying to make. But I think Jazz already phrased that question from a bad angle. So if you raise the child the way the child is supposed to be raised, the chances of that child growing and drifting from whatever it is that you raise the child to be is reduced. Not saying it won't happen. The chances that it will happen, like it will happen, but the chances of this being, a real thing, that kids that were raised a certain way just grow up and be something completely different. Kids that were raised a certain way just grow up and we get kids that were raised in church and then they grow up and they want to do OnlyFans. That happens. But what percentage, right? So if you raise a child a certain way, the chances of that child growing and drifting completely off it's a little less. And the reason why I said Jazz phrased it from a wrong angle, a wrong perspective, because she knows what she wanted to get from him. And she knows why she phrased it like that, in my opinion, is that the way she phrased the question is more like the child and the father does not really have a connection. Because based on how Anton says it and how Anton says he raises his kids, the child will grow to whatever age and will still have a very strong connection to the father. That even though if she wants to drift and do something completely different, it will be something to come home and talk to daddy about. It will be something to come home and talk to my father about, that, hey, that is what I want to do. I want to get your blessing on it. I want to get your opinion on it, all that stuff, right? But she already did it from an angle that looks like those two don't have a bond. They don't have a connection. That part is already broken in the question itself. So that makes it look like Anton is just being an asshole, just saying, no, then I cut you off. But in real life, the chances of this happening is less. It's less. But I get what Anton is saying. Like, yo, if you grow up and it just drifts completely different, then no, I would just cut you off my inheritance. I won't just let you inherit things. And I think most people do that. I don't think it's only Anton holding on to that. There were a lot of rich folks and wealthy people that they will leave inheritance behind, but the inheritance is based on you actually growing to be this or doing that before you can receive it. So it's nothing crazy.
Don't kill your reputation online.
So you would abandon your adult child if they don't live the life the way you want them to?
If you decide that you want to be gay,
you're an adult, so
and I didn't raise
you
to
can
be
do
gay,
whatever you want. But if I don't
and I
agree
have
with
an
it, then
inheritance for you, and according to the standards, you have to live your life according to certain standards in order for you to get that inheritance. If you don't do it,
pretty much
you
what I
don't
was
get
saying.
it.
If you build a certain lifestyle for you and your family, and your child decides to go completely left to it, hey, I will still love you from afar and stuff like that. And it's not just Anton. I've heard of several parents that do this, that would just completely cut their kids off because of who they married. Maybe they hated the woman, but somehow the son wanted to marry this girl for some reason. Some parents would just cut you off because of that. It's just different things. In some race, they will not even allow you to marry another race unless you marry from their race, right? So it's not far-fetched to think that some families will cut their kids off, even if they are older, and then just decide to do whatever they want at that point. Because at that point you are grown. Be your own man. Go find your own money and everything.
When they don't play a role in raising them, then they can't say, "Hey, I raised you not to be this way." What are you doing? I can't. But when you become an adult and I don't no longer have any control, then if you don't abide by my rules, then you lose my inheritance. That's all there's to it.
But they're not under your rule anymore when they become adults.
Then you don't get my money because you didn't earn it anyway. That's a blessing. That's a privilege.
Do you see where Anton is going with it? Like, you are an adult and you decide to do whatever you want. And so if you decide to just go completely far off and just ignore what me as your father expected of you and things like that, then that money that I made in that inheritance is actually mine. It's not yours. So you can go get yours. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it, and even when it comes to the father and parents and kids, one thing that I noticed about the Bible is that I don't think the Bible actually asks kids to love their parents. It just says to honor them, right? And I think that is the only commandment that commands kids to honor their parents, honor your father and your mother. It didn't really tell you to love them. It's vice versa for the parents to love their kids, but I don't think is for the kids to love their parents. So yeah, the kids should honor you. And I think in that honor comes something like this, where you should think about what me as your father would want for your life, instead of just drifting off and doing whatever you want. So I think in that honor comes with that. So if you're not going to honor me as your parent and you're not going to honor me based on how I raised you, then maybe all this money that I worked hard for, it's not yours to begin with, right? And I've already provided for you and placed you under my cover until you became an adult. So now that you are an adult, you're on your own. So I don't see nothing wrong with what Anton is saying at all. I think it's just the way he says it and how she posts the questions.
Are you saying Forget the gay part. That's really extreme. I mean, I'm not talking.
Not
gay.
extreme. It's
I'm talking.
real.
Well, no, but
kids is gay.
I'm sure your daughter's not gay. That's what I mean. So let's move on. I'm talking about if your daughter says, "I'm better off being a doctor instead of a lawyer," you'll have a problem.
I like that he switched it from that particular topic. I want to switch that too.
I'm just asking
Like I don't even want to address that. I didn't even notice he mentioned that.
You to go to school.
Yeah, and she says, she knows when she goes to school, and she knows that she wants to be a doctor. She wants to heal. She has the brain for it, because you're born to do what you want to do. I'm just saying. And she says she wants to be a doctor, and you want her to be a lawyer. She's out?
Correct.
Wow.
See, this is why I'm saying that they phrase these questions a little bit different. And again, I'll go back to what I said. If Anton is raising the kids the way that he says he raises his kids, then these kids will not grow up and just completely say, you wanted me to be a doctor, but I just want to be an engineer, or completely off like that. No, like these kids will have this conversation with their fathers. And two, if Anton is raising these kids the way that he says he's raising them, he already knows the kids' potential and everything already. So when he says, I want you to go this route, or I want you to go that route, it's based on the father noticing that a child is good at this, or a child is good at that, or a child is good at that. And based on that, choosing a path that he thinks is good for the child. And also pointing a path that he foresee that being a problem, and saying, no, I don't want you to go this path, because this path will more than likely lead you to this path, and that is not a good path. So I want you to avoid that path, because there is a chance that you can make it there, but there is also a 90% chance that you will end up here, and I don't want you to go that path. So I think that these questions, when they phrase it in a way that it makes it look bad in the question itself. So if you either have to answer and agree with them and succumb to what they want you to say, or if you say the opposite, it looks bad. I think these questions are just not right.
Wow.
Because you're an adult.
She doesn't have a life. She has a life up until. Wait. So I just want to be clear. Her life is dictated by you up until she leaves the house.
Her life is dictated by me as long as she's under my covering. Then
that's what I mean.
See, that's not what you meant. Those are two different things. See, most of the time, right, when we say something, we think we are saying one thing and we're really not. You're saying their life is dictated by you until they leave the house. And then he says, no, your life is determined by me as long as you're under my covering. Those are two different things, because a child can grow into an adult and still be under the father's covering, right? Because the child is, let's say, 25. But the child still lives at home. The child still eats at home. The child still comes to the father, works for the business. The father's, spiritual and everything. The father's shadow covers you. You are still under his covering. Unless you leave that space completely, you are still under him, right? You not just living the space as in living the house, because you can even rent your own place and still be under his covering, because you rented your own place, but you're still not your own man yet, because there are so many other things that comes with being your own man that he's still doing for you. You are still under his covering to a certain level, right? And so it's the same thing. It's like saying your kid went to a boarding school. In that short period, do they temporarily leave your covering? No, they didn't. They're in the boarding school for the past 2-3 years throughout college, right? Or whatever. But they didn't leave your covering. Why? Because these kids are still under your shadow. They didn't break free from the parents' covering yet. So you can be grown, you can leave the house, but it doesn't mean you are off his covering yet. Unless you get off his covering, you should honor him. And I think even if you get off the covering, you should honor him. But at that point, he can force you to honor him, because you are not under his covering and you are on your own, man, and you can do whatever you want. And at that point, he also can do whatever he wants with his money. So you can force him to give inheritance to you if your drift's completely different from what he expected of you as a child. So I don't know why that is hard. And I think it's just how we perceive things.
She believes she can be good at, whether veterinarian, lawyer, doc. I just want to be clear. That has nothing to do with her. It's what you want her to study.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because that's why I'm saying the questions are phrased differently. Because what he wants her to study is based on what he had seen the child do since childhood, and knows that you'll be better at this or you'll be great at this as a father who is spiritually covering you as well, and really being a parent not just being a dad that shows up, right, and provide food and provide shelter. Like there's more to it. And I think the way they phrase it is just how, you know,
So
it
she
makes
doesn't have
it,
a life. She has,
it
she
kind of
only
puts
has
it in a
life
way that you have to either
dictates for
succumb
her
to what I'm
because she's under your
asking,
covering with
or
money
anything you
and
say
what you
is
provide
false.
No, she's under my covering completely.
Right, that's what I mean. Well, it's
No, it's not the same
But
thing.
even after,
money and what
It's
you
not just
provide.
money.
All across the board.
Right.
And if
So
we,
money-
and if we raised our
money-
children, if we raised our children with purpose, then they wouldn't be out here single baby mamas.
Right.
They wouldn't be
No.
out here getting diversity,
But that's
equity,
not
and
what I'm
inclusion
asking.
degrees based off of how they feel.
I get
they
it.
would have purpose. In other cultures, and this is the thing that I've learned from other cultures, is that they actually set their kids up and they give them purpose before they even become adults, and that is how they preserve the legacy of their family. That is how they preserve wealth.
Most cultures have done that.
Sure that
They give their
these
kids
are
a
not-
purpose before they become an adult, right? And we've seen in different cultures. You don't have to be told. We've seen in different cultures. The last time my wife had a dentist that, you know, a friend, a good friend that we consider family, introduced, right, to her. And, you know, when we went out there and we realized, okay, so this looks like this person is a dentist, but it was left by the father, and then the father had it because it was like, you can see the legacy just continuing. Like they continue this family legacy and their life is very successful. And I think at some point we need to put our emotions aside instead of thinking, well, maybe the child wanted to be a musician and would have been better. Why does it matter? The path they chose for you was great as well, right? Based on what they knew your potential was, and you are doing it great. So, you know, sometimes kids will just drift because their emotions are leading them somewhere else, that they feel like, yes, I want this, but they really don't know that they have not really considered so many things that most of the time a father will consider. So I'm with Anton on that. I just think they just put in the questions a little bit weird.
It's guided and they're not out here fucked up. This is Western culture.
But
where
giving
you
them
allow
a
for people
purpose
to have too
is
many
good.
choices.
You know,
And when
the
they
same
have
way
choices,
that when they were
oftentimes
little,
choose wrong for
you would give them
themselves.
purpose.
As long
When
as
they
you're
were
under my
little,
covering,
you
will
would
do what I
expect
say,
of them
or else
that
it
they
will
wake
be
up,
like
they
this
brush their
big
teeth, they do this, they
So
do that,
let's
they
just
clean
say
their
you
room, they
wanted
do
to be a
this.
doctor.
These
She
kids
doesn't
already
have the brain
know
for it.
this,
You
right?
just
When
said
they were
all you
little. So
want.
why
You
is
just
it
don't
not
have that.
continuing
That's not your
into
thing.
their,
You
No,
think
you know,
that-
their
no,
young
it is
men
your thing.
or
We just
young
don't know.
ladies
Wait, you
age?
don't know.
It's your thing. I
Wait.
know you better than you know your goddamn self.
Wait.
That's the
Wait a
point that
minute.
I'm making. Most of the time, a father will know you more than you know yourself. Most of the time, because the father has studied you before your brain actually developed. And then the brain doesn't develop till you're like, what, 25? So before you even hit 25, your dad has studied you your whole life. Your parent has studied you your whole life. So the chances that if the parent was actually being a real good parent and will know that this is good for you and that is what you're good at and put you on a path that is good for your success, come on. I don't know why we're debating this, because then we leave the option to kids to decide. And we all know how that goes sometimes. If you leave it to kids, they will just come up with some of the random, stupidest shit. And then you would just have to agree with it because you leave your kids to make their own decisions and choices. So I think giving kids purpose is good. And besides, if we have done one thing one way and it's not worked for us, why not try it the other way? Because if we keep doing the same thing, we will keep getting the exact same results. And then look at our community. How great has it been? Right? So maybe we should try something new or incorporate something new. That if we were good at 50%, then maybe if we incorporate something new, we can bump up to about 80 or 90%. Right? So I don't see nothing wrong with it, instead of just leaving kids to do whatever they want. Because if you leave kids to do whatever they want, peer pressure and some stupid stuff can just drift them into doing something stupid.
I just want to be clear on this, because some people are born to do what they do. I'm just saying.
No, they're not.
Okay. So she is.
Some people are born to do what they do.
Most of us just have to work hard.
I don't know if I agree with that completely, because you still have to put in the effort.
Genetically, LeBron fucking James.
You have to put in the effort.
You
I
don't
don't
know that.
think
Like you said,
you
know
can.
that. You know if your son's going to be LeBron
You can
James
just be
or not,
born
right?
to be a singer and you
just
never
said
really worked on it or nothing, and you are just great at it for years.
And
You
you
have to work on it.
Because of height.
Unless you're 16 and you jumping out the gym, you are a regular.
You think you're going to be a LeBron James because? Wait a minute. You think you're going to be a LeBron James because your attributes, your height? I'm just trying to put
absolutely.
Really?
Everybody knew LeBron James.
You think every guy out there that's 6?
So yeah, see, that is the thing. Even if you have the height and you don't work on it, and you have the gift and you don't work on it, you would not be great at it. But if somebody has the height, just that, was not born to do this, but wakes up every day 6 a.m. and trains and works hard towards this, this draft that they really want to, like, come on. I mean, this craft, right? Like, if somebody is also just taller, but then they wake up every day and they work on this craft, they'll be good at it. It doesn't matter that you were born to do this. I don't think people were just born to do stuff and then they just stuck with it. Even if they don't rehearse, they just know how to do this. You will not be that great at it. So I think you have to work on it, and it doesn't matter. I think at this point they're just drifting away from the argument itself.
Small percentage being 6'10".
We knew LeBron was LeBron before LeBron was LeBron.
You think every guy that's on a basketball court that's 6'10" is a LeBron?
That's a small percentage of men.
Is that what I just said?
Yeah, that's what you just
I
said.
said
You also know what he said.
Everybody knew fucking LeBron was LeBron. That nigga, he was a prodigy.
No, I asked
LeBron
you.
could
I
have
said
played
if
football. He
if
could have
you
played
had
basketball. He could have did any of that.
You had a son.
Listen, most of you motherfuckers are regular, and you need guidance, and you need your father. And the reason that y'all out here fucked up,
most
sitting here
people are
lashed
regular.
out
You
with
need
multiple
guidance. You
different
need.
children by multiple different men, is that you left the covering of your father. I stand on that shit.
I can disagree with that. I think if your father's covering is not there. I remember my big brother said something to me a couple of weeks ago. He said, raising a child is not just about being present. There is a spirit behind the father and the mother being at home or being in the child's life and really doing what they're supposed to do. There is a spirit behind it. There is a spiritual covering behind the kid having both parents, right, that are present and really being a parent. It's not so, like what Anton is saying, that because most of these kids don't have the fathers at home, it will end up in certain areas that we don't want to end up in. And I don't think parents just don't want to be parents. I think sometimes situations and bad choices takes parents away from kids. But then we see the end result of these kids, or majority of these kids, not all of them, but majority of these kids. I usually don't make the exception for, I don't talk about the exception, but majority of these kids, when they don't have the father at home, a lot of things go wrong, right? So I agree with Anton. Like, I think most people lose their covering, and without the parent at home, something goes off. It doesn't matter if it is a single dad or it's a single mom. I think both parents need to be present. I was just referencing what my big brother said. There was a spirit behind having both parents present and both covering over you and walking you, on a path to life, instead of just, being one parent.
What I'm asking.
Yeah, but the thing is, the parents are wrong.
I'm telling you what it is.
The thing about it is, parents.
You keep trying to remix the question.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it feels like he's just trying to remix the question, changing the questions, trying to see if you will change what you do believe. And I think Anton really stands on what he believes.
Listen, you're still not answering my question. I'm just saying, you think that anybody can become a doctor, anybody can become a lawyer. You think anybody? Is that what I said?
Is that what I said?
I don't think anybody can, but if we put it to test and we put
if your doctor, if
kids, unless you are just dumb, like if you are dedicated to
illustrate
reading and learning and bettering yourself, you'll be better at what you are, the craft that you are working on.
Wait. I have my own set of parameters based off of what I believe my daughter should be.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. Based on what he, the father, believes and sees in the child.
You use the doctor example. You use the lawyer example. So I didn't want to change it. I spoke to your example based off of how you presented it. But for me personally, I have a parameter. I have a lifestyle. I have a setup for how I want my daughter to go. The same way that all of the rest of my family and the people that happened before me. That is how we raise our children. That is why they all marry. That is why none of them single baby mamas. That is why none of them is crash out. That's how we continue to do things inside of our.
See, and I think he's just giving you the stats of his family and how they've always done it, and it's always worked for them. So what is the point of actually moving away from what has always worked? If it works, if it's not broken, why fix it? right? It's not broken, like it's worked, and we've all been great and successful, and no single parents in the family or whatever. Everybody's still married, no divorces or whatever. Why should we change it? Right? I'm with him on that. If it is worked, why change it? Like if it's worked for generations, and my whole family, there are no divorces, there are no single mothers, there are no single fathers, then why should I change it? There's no need to change it. We will continue on that exact same path. And if it works for them, it works for them. Maybe it might not work for you. And you are free to just choose whatever you want for your kids, or let your kids choose whatever they want to do. That is on you to let your kids do whatever. But he's not telling you what you should let your kids do. But I think they are trying to tell him what he should do with his kids, which is a no-no, especially like if you come to like, African communities, people will just tell you, you don't teach people how to raise their kids. It's not your child. But hey,
our family, we don't deviate from it. It has worked. It has worked for generations, and we're not changing it just because we're in modern times.
But
yep.
I'm gonna say
shouldn't change it just because you're in modern times. If it works, it works.
Y'all gotta understand that, like the African culture, the Indian culture, the Chinese, they make sure that their kids is a certain industry. I know when my dad,
they set them up for success and give them peppers.
Like they don't play with that gay shit in Trinidad. So like in different cultures is different rules. Like they don't play with that.
And trust have.
If I continue with this, it will go forever. I think we've had enough of the argument. I think we've had enough of the argument, and we get the point. It's like, hey, you can raise your child whatever you want to raise your child as. But I think I agree with Anton on this particular one, that I will give my child the papers and I will direct their path. And the example that they were giving and how they were presenting the question is just diabolical in itself, because they just want you, they present the question in a way that you have to succumb to it, and anything that you say opposite to that would just be negative on you. So it's just how they presented the question. I think every child that has is under the parents' covering, 99% or 90% of the time, or a higher percentage, it doesn't matter. It's still a higher percentage. The exception will not really count. Any child that has a parent at home will more than likely have these type of conversations with their father, with their parent while growing up. If they want to go away from what the parent wants them to, that conversation will happen in the house because they have a bond that they can talk about this. It's not about just having the authority and just teaching you and telling you, not teaching you, telling you what to do, and then you just do it. No, I think based on how he says it, it might appear as such, but I think it's just a father and child bond, and the father knowing what is good for the child and letting the child go that route. And if you have kids as a parent, there are so many things that you watch in your child, and there's so many things that your child will want to do that you can just look at it and say, no, I don't think that is good. I think this is better. And I think that is what he's speaking to. People who are just finding difficulties because we live in modern times that we just want to allow kids to just do whatever they want, even though their brain is not fully developed. But anyways, hey, I think that was a good conversation in itself. But peace out, and thank you guys that listen.